So I will say that the Torah in the beginning of this week's Parsha speaks about the obligation. V'yatot Titzaveh b'nei Yisrael, mamish opening pasuk of the Parsha. V'yatot Titzaveh b'nei Yisrael v'yichui lecha shemen zayis zoch kasis lama'ar la'alos ner tamid. Parach of Zayin pasuk Chav, chapter 27, verse 20. Mamish opening pasuk. Chash Baruch Hu tells Moshe Rabbeinu, and now I want you to command b'nei Yisrael, and they will take for you shemen zayis zoch. Right, they'll take for you again pure olive oil, kasis. We'll say, what's kasis? Crushed, lama'ar, to give light, lahalos ner tamid, to provide perpetual light. We'll say, remember the Torah over here is telling us, shemen zayis zach kasis lama'ar is actually a very important halachic precept, which is, what type of oil can you use for the menorah? Only virgin olive oil. What's the definition of virgin olive oil? The oil that comes out from the first press. From the first piece. That's the only thing you could use in the Beis HaMikdash. So I will say there's a beautiful insight by the great tzaddik Moshe Leib of Sasov. And he says that in these words, kasis lamar. So right, if you look at the lashon is, right, the lashon of the pasuk is, shemen zayis zach, so pure olive oil, kasis lamar. Crush it in order to give light. So Moshe Leib of Sasov sees in that phrase, kasis lamar, crush it to give light, an incredible Musar Haskell. I'm going to read to you. He says, kasis, acharei sheben adam mechases umechashesh es yitzrara. So I will say, what's my avodah in life? Says Moshe Leib of Sasov. What's my avodah? Kasis. I will say, what does kasis mean? I have to try to crush the Yitzhahara. Right? I will say, all of us have desires, wants, and passions and proclivities in life. And I have to try, to whatever degree I can, to rein that in. Now, the truth is, there's also the concept, we've seen this in the Ramchal and Tzidkas HaTzadik, of channeling those things, right? Because again, the koach itself is a good koach. The koach is a good koach. But at the end of the day, that koach needs to be rechanneled. But I will say, before you can rechannel everything, right, the prerequisite to channeling is restraint. So the Moshe Leib of Sasov says, kasis, to crush something, doesn't necessarily mean to obliterate it. It means to restrain it. I will say, what happens after a person is able to exercise restraint in life? Kovish ta'avosav vergelem arayim. If I'm able to go ahead and literally rein in my taivas, rein in my wants, rein in my desires, exercise restraint in life. Do you know what the byproduct of restraint is? Says the Rebbe, lema'ar. The byproduct, right, the peiros of restraint is light. He says, lema'ar mesugalhu lehanos miziv arashchina. The byproduct ultimately of kasis, of restraint, ultimately is to receive the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. See, I will say, it's an interesting thing because sometimes we assume that the great light of Kiddusha ultimately is a function of positive dynamic activity in which we engage. And what the Rebbe is trying to highlight to us is that sometimes the greatest light is not from what you do, but the greatest light is to exercise restraint in the hardest areas of life. Whether it's restraint in what we do, in what we look at, restraint in what we say, restraint in how we interact. Kasis, if I work on myself and try to hold back on doing something that I so badly desire to do, if I live a life of kasis, ultimately, lama'ar, I will be zochem Yirtzeh Hashem to the beautiful light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I will say, good Shabbos.